The Hollow Ones. When Emma took the caretaker job at the old Braithwaite estate, everyone in town warned her about the place. "They're still in those woods," said Mrs. Felder, the owner of the diner, handing over Emma's grilled cheese with trembling hands. Emma chuckled, thinking it a superstitious tale. She had grown up in the city, used to sirens and cracked pavement, not shadowy trees and whispered legends. The estate was a 19th century mansion surrounded by thick, gnarled woods and about 30 acres of decaying farmland. Mr. Harrow, the executor of the Braithwaite family will, offered her good pay, free housing, and time to work on her novel, a dream deal. She arrived in late October, just as the wind began to bite. The mansion creaked with age. Wallpaper curled off the walls like shedding skin, and the floorboards moaned beneath her steps. Her room was on the second floor, overlooking the woods. On her second night, she awoke to knocking. Not at the door, but on the window, 2 stories up. She sat bolt upright, heart hammering. Outside, the wind hissed through the trees. She crept to the window. Nothing. Probably a branch, she told herself, though none reached high enough. She returned to bed. That night, she dreamed of whispering voices and pale hands reaching up from the forest floor. Emma found the diary in the library behind a loose brick. It was leather-bound, brittle, and smelled of rot. The name etched into the cover was Edgar Braithwaite. The first few entries were mundane, harvest notes, local gossip, complaints about the weather. But then, in an entry dated October 13, 1887, things changed. "They walk again, the hollow ones. I heard them last night, scratching at the walls. One got into the cellar. We burned it, but the stink remains. I warned Ruth to keep the children inside. They mimic our voices now." Emma frowned. She flipped to the last entry. "The woods belong to them now. I locked Ruth and the boys in the chapel. Safer that way. I can't sleep. They know my name." She closed the book. A sudden gust rattled the windows, though the air was still. She went to the old chapel the next morning. It sat near the tree line, small and crumbling, half swallowed by ivy. The door was barred from the outside. She pried it open and stepped inside. Rot and dust, broken pews, candles melted into the floor. At the front stood a stained glass window, once depicting some saint, now mostly blackened and shattered. Behind the altar, a trapdoor. Her curiosity battled fear. Curiosity won. The cellar was pitch black, damp. She descended slowly, flashlight cutting through the dark. She almost missed them, 2 small skeletons in the corner, curled together like they'd fallen asleep. Her breath caught in her throat. She backed up the stairs, shut the trapdoor. That night, she heard the voices. They came from the woods. Dozens of them, whispering her name. "Emma, Emma, let us in." She tried to convince herself it was the wind or animals, but she knew it wasn't. The next night, she saw them. Figures between the trees, thin, too tall, moving strangely. Their arms hung wrong, their heads cocked at unnatural angles. They watched the house. She closed every curtain, locked every door, slept with a knife beside her. They returned the next night, and the next. She called Mr. Harrow. "You didn't tell me about the things in the woods," she said. Silence on the line. Then, "You read the diary." "Yes." "You should leave," he said. "They don't like it when people remember." "What are they?" she whispered. A pause. "We call them the Hollow Ones. The Braithwaites. They opened something, a door maybe, in the forest. We don't know. But the things came through. They wear our faces." He hung up. That night, something knocked on the door. Emma didn't answer. She sat in the corner of the living room with her flashlight and knife. "Emma," said a voice. "It's me, Mr. Harrow. I came to help." The doorknob rattled. "I know you're scared, but you have to let me in." She didn't move, didn't blink. The voice repeated itself, same words, same tone, like a recording. After the third time, silence. Then, scratching at the walls. Not rats, too high up, like fingers. Sleep became impossible. She stopped opening the curtains, stopped turning on lights at night. Every sound became a threat, every creak a warning. She wandered the halls with the diary in hand, rereading Edgar's descent into terror. She found more writings, hidden in walls, beneath floorboards, under loose tiles. Drawings of creatures with hollow eyes and stitched mouths, notes scrawled in Latin and Old English, and a map. The Braithwaite lands, marked with strange symbols. One spot stood out, a circle, deep in the woods, labeled simply, "The Gate." She had to see it. The woods were silent. No birds, no wind, just the crunch of dead leaves beneath her boots. She followed the map, weaving between trees that seemed to lean toward her. After an hour, she found it. A perfect circle of blackened earth, about 20 feet wide. No plants grew there. The air buzzed faintly, like static. At the center, a stone pillar, cracked and moss-covered, symbols carved into its surface. And something else, scratches, like fingernails. She knelt. The ground was warm. She heard a whisper behind her. "Emma." She spun around. No one. She ran. Back at the house, night fell fast. She locked herself in the library. Outside, the hollow ones gathered. They didn't knock this time. They sang. A low, warbling chant, dozens of voices rising and falling, overlapping. From the window, she saw them, pale figures with black mouths and eyes like dried pits. Some wore tattered old clothes, dresses, overalls. One wore a child's nightgown. They stared up at her window, swaying in rhythm. She screamed. The chant stopped. One of them opened its mouth and spoke in her voice. "Help me." The next morning, they were gone. She packed. She was done. But when she got in her car, the engine wouldn't turn over, battery dead. She started walking toward the main road, 5 miles through the woods. Half a mile in, she saw the child. It stood in the path, barefoot in a nightgown, pale, smiling. "Are you lost?" it asked in her voice. Emma turned and ran. They followed. She got back to the mansion, breathless, shaking, barricaded the doors. Night fell fast. From the window, she saw dozens of them now, hundreds, lining the woods like a silent congregation. Then one of them stepped forward. It was her. Not exactly, but close. Same face, same clothes, same scar above the eyebrow. It raised its hand and waved. Then it smiled, mouth too wide, eyes too dark, and walked toward the house. The others followed. They broke in through the windows. Emma ran to the attic, the only place left. She blocked the door with boxes, shelves, anything she could move. Below, she heard them crawling through the walls, whispering, laughing. One pressed its face to the attic trapdoor. She saw it through the cracks. It was her. "Let me in," it said. "You're tired. Let me wear you." She screamed, stabbed at the trapdoor with a broken chair leg. The thing hissed and pulled away. Hours passed, maybe days, then silence.
Mr. Harrow arrived 3 days later. He found the front door open, blood on the floor, knife marks on the walls. He called for Emma. No answer. In the attic, he found her journal. The last entry read, "I'm still me, I think, but I'm tired, and she's getting louder. I can feel her inside my skin." He closed the book. As he turned to leave, he heard footsteps behind him. Emma stood in the doorway, smiling, but her eyes were too dark. The Braithwaite estate is quiet now. No one lives there. The woods have grown thicker. Sometimes hikers go missing. Sometimes people hear voices at night. Sometimes you see your own face watching you from the trees. And if you hear knocking at your window, 2 stories up, don't open it.